Hi, today I want to answer the question, how much can you do with 20 million? Or in other words, which kind of apartment can you build with 20 million? So I want us to deal with that question of which kind of apartment can you build using 20 million? And I want to run you through that. You look at the details so that you understand. Suppose you have a budget of 20 million. How would you know uh, the kind of project that 20 million can do? Can it give you a house like this, or can it give you a house like this, or can it give you maybe a house like this one or this one? Yeah. So these are several options that we can deal with. Now let's go into the details. So suppose you want to do an apartment and your budget is 20 million and you want to know which kind of a house this can give you. So how do you go about it? So number one, you need to understand the cost components of a project. That is, for you to do a project, you have to look at the cost of documentation and approval. You have to look at the actual construction cost and the cost of supervision. Cost of supervision. So let's look at it. Construction cost, or let's start with cost of documentation plus cost of construction plus cost of supervision. Cost of supervision gives us supervision will give us the total cost. Total cost. So in this case, our total cost is Kenya shillings 20 million. Now we have these three cost elements: the cost of documentation and approval, the cost of construction, and the cost of supervision. All these comes to our 20 million here. So all this comes to 20 million. Now, usually, the cost of documentation and approval, you can give an allowance of 10%, 10% of construction costs, cost of construction, and usually the cost of construction we equate it to 100%. Now, the cost of supervision is usually 5% of the cost of construction. Cost of construction. Now, this is a bit of small maths here and there, but let's look at it. So this is what we have. This is what we have here. So how do we get this cost? So suppose, remember those maths of suppose x is equal to something. So let's say cost of construction is equals to x. So let's use the easy maths. So we say 100%, which is the cost of construction, plus 10%, which is the cost of documentation and approval, and 5%, which is the cost of supervision, is equivalent to 20 million. Okay. is equivalent to 20 million. So that is what? This is 20 million. So when 15% is equivalent to Kenya shillings is equivalent to 20 million. So now our 100%, which is the cost of construction, which is 100%, would be what? So this is equal to, this is 100 over 115 times 20 million. 20 million, that would give you cost of construction, and that is what? Let's pull a calculator here. So 115 divided by, 110 divided by 115 times 20 million. That's around, let's say, 17.4. So the cost of, so this is now cost of construction. Cost of construction is Kenya shillings what? 17.4 million. Now remember, cost of documentation and approval was 10% of cost of construction. So what does that mean? Cost of documentation and approval is therefore 10% of 17.4. So that is what? That is 1.74 million. Similarly, cost of supervision is 5%. 5% of cost of construction. So that would be 5% of 17.4. What would that give us? So 5% of 17.4. That would be 870. That would be 0.87 million. So that takes us to total cost. Total cost is therefore 17.4 million plus 1.74 million, which is for documentation, and 0.87 million. That gives us our 20 million. 20 million. Now, this information is important. This information is important because if you ignore this, you may not get your project up to the end of the line. So now, what does this mean? It means that the cost, the actual amount that will go to the construction, whether you want to do this or you want to do something like this one, or you want to do something like this, whatever you want to do, the amount that will go into the actual construction, if you have a budget of 20 million, is 17.4. Now, with that in mind, you need to ask yourself, suppose I want to do let's say I want to do what? I want to do an apartment of standard low rise, low rise apartments of 1 bedroom units. How many units will I get? This is important. Now usually uh, the standard size of 1 bedroom is usually 35 square meters to 45 square meters. For this analysis, let's use an average area of 40 square meters. Okay, so this information is also important. This one is important. The other thing is cost per square meter of the apartment. Now this is also important. Now you need to know this. The cost per square meter of a standard low rise apartment is usually in the region of Kenya shilling 65,000 to Kenya shilling 75,000. Okay. Now, so note this one. Number two, the cost per square meter of a standard high-rise apartment is usually Kenya shillings 75,000 to Kenya shillings 85,000. And lastly, the cost per square meter of a luxury apartment. Luxury apartment is in the region of Kenya shillings 85,000 to 95. Kenya shillings 95. Now, it's important to have that. And for this, we'll use standard law. So we'll use standard law. So we are going for, remember our budget is 17.4. This is the actual amount that we want to use. And we are going for this average size of 40. And we're also going for standard low rise apartment, which is usually this. Now, where does that take us? So that takes us to where? So let's say now for this video, let's use the average rate of Kenya shillings 70,000 per square meter of a standard low rise apartment. So now you have the rate per square meter. You have the average size of 1 bedroom. So how many bedrooms will Kenya shilling 17.4 million give us? That's important. Okay, how many will this give us? So you're going to get first get cost of building one bedroom, one bedroom, one bedroom in this apartment. So this will be 40 times 70,000. So that would give us Kenya shillings 2.8 million. So one unit would give us this. Now we have our budget. Our budget is Kenya shillings 17.4. So therefore, how many units? So we'll have 7.4 divided by 2.8 divided by 2.8. So that would give us what? 0.4 divided by 2.8. Well, that will give us 6 units. It will give us 6 units. Okay. Now, if this would give us 6 units. But remember, we've spent total cost is Kenya shillings 20 million. So that will give what will be the cost per unit. So actual cost per unit, actual cost per unit will be Kenya shillings 20 million divided by 6 units. Okay. That would be what? That would give us um, 3.3. So that will give us actual cost per unit, actual cost per unit, actual cost per unit of one bedroom being Kenya shillings 3.3 million. Now, if I want to get more units, I will come and reduce this, the average cost per square meter, and perhaps considering reducing the size. So let me go with the lower limit of 60. What was that? 65. So I would go with suppose now we're using suppose the cost per unit is Kenya shillings 60,000. That would give one bedroom so one bedroom therefore will cost 40 by 60,000. So that would be Kenya shillings 2.4. Number of units would be now 17.4 million divided by 2.4 million. And that would give us, that would give us 17.4 divided by 2.4. So it give us 7 units. 7 units. So what does that mean? If you vary this cost per unit, the size of the room and the cost per unit. It will give you more numbers. Okay, it will give you more numbers. Now, this is how you actually understand the kind of unit that you can build with your budget of 20 million. So you can do something like this. You can actually do it 8 units. Coming to think about it, you can do 8 units. For example, if you use an area, if an average an area per unit, an area an area of 1 bedroom is 35 square meters, the cost would be okay. So let's say 35 with a unit cost, a unit cost of Kenya shilling 60,000. Okay. Now with this one, the cost will be what? The cost will be 35 times 60,000. That would be 2.1 to 2.1 million. Therefore, number of units will be 17.4 divided by 2.1, and that would give you what? That would give you 17.4 divided by 2.1. Yeah, so that would give you 8 units. 8 units. Okay. So your 20 million can give you 8 units of 1 bedroom each with an area of 35 square meters or smaller, depending on what you're looking to achieve. So that is it. In case you have a question, you can come on to our comment section. Tell me what you want me to cover in the next video. If you have some questions for me, push them there, and I will be glad to respond. Remember also to subscribe to our channel, and thank you so much.